Oh my wa mo shinderu!
What'd you say there, boy?
Life with a weeaboo for a cousin. I used to have a period of my life commonly known as
The Dark Ages.
it was when little me began tying my hair into pigtails and began skipping everywhere, ending each and every one of my sentences with a cheerful kawaii desu ne. It ended roughly around 7th grade, but it was enough to scar my reputation. I expressed my love for anime in the most obnoxious ways, abusing the Japanese language for the sake of looking cool, and also excessively drawing anime, each drawing taped on my wall enough to cover one entire wall. I mean, all these things sound relatively okay, especially in 7th grade when you're trying to like find yourself. You don't really know who you are, so cool. Be the anime girl if that's what you need to make yourself feel confident. It was to the point where I was arguing with my mother about careers. 7th grade, bro, you don't know about that. I yelled at her confidently, "I'm gonna be an anime artist!" I went to sleep that night, smugly knowing that I would become the revolutionary anime kawaii person. People did admire my drawings, and I reveled in the praise. Zoom forward to 7th grade, where anime wore off on me. I realized that I really liked to draw, but that I would need to expand my skills, learn proper anatomy, develop my own style, and learn and practice a plethora of things before I could feel confident in calling myself some sort of artist. Unfortunately, I found it difficult to ditch the anime style for about a year or so. You're growing, you're learning, this is good. Around this time, my cousin began noticing my interest in anime. This is bad. And he got a hold of half of my Chobits manga, of which he somehow found. I hid that thing out of pure shame. He read it, fell in love with it, and after that, began delving into anime for himself. I could care less, because now we had something to talk about. By then, I stopped my weeaboo habits, but that didn't stop me from liking anime, since more time was spent with homework or sports. We talked, and I tried monitoring him. So far, no signs. Yeah, liking anime in and of itself is not a red flag, alright? There's definitely people that take it too far and get weird with it. And those are mostly the people that we focus on in these stories. But most enjoyers of anime, they're good people. They're good people. So, a cousin went back home, but the next time he visited, my cousin wasn't even my cousin. He had become a being worth fearing. He began joking a lot about adult anime content, overly using kawaii and sugoi and des, and even urged me to call him SENPAI, since he was technically older than me by about a year. Yeah, this just became his whole personality overnight. Okay, this is what I mean by taking it too far. I already call him by another honorific that my language uses. Tagalog, I usually call him Kuya, and Senpai was just way too drastic of a change. Yeah, Kuya means big brother, quite literally. You can still use it to strangers that are older than you. For a big sister, you'd call them ate. That's your Tagalog lesson for the day, I guess. I was still on the lookout for him, trying to prevent him from going through the same cycle that I had gone through, except this time, he was obsessed with terms that I didn't even know about, such as lolly. No, every time! He started joking about my younger sister concerning that and got kicked right between the legs for it, as it should be, and then he proceeded to berate me for kicking a male superior. Yeah, dude, that's totally baka.
Call me Senpai and nothing else. I chose you because you were kawaii enough to be part of the list.
Ew, why you writing lists? What's that? And OP asks, what list?
The list of girls I permit to call me Senpai.
Ew, dude, your cousin? You're so weird. You're so weird. At this point, I snapped. We barely talk now, but he texts me at other times. Once about his girlfriend, who also liked anime. Second, about the breakup, because said girlfriend couldn't cosplay this Steins Gate character correctly. When he comes to visit, he bunks down in my room, the only spare room, where he just holds up and does nothing but watch anime.
He's just hoping you'll sit on the bed with him, OP.
I shouldn't have said it. Skeeved myself out. Not only does his behavior get a bit irritating, it also saddens me for the fact that we used to go about actually doing things. Skateboarding, doodling, throwing dictionaries at each other, watching movies. He now won't touch anything that isn't anime. And he won't go anywhere to eat if it's not a Japanese restaurant. He's got the full 9. How can we bring him back? Do we want him back? Yeah, probably we do. He's only slightly creepy so far. We began having arguments here and there, and whenever we meet up nowadays, it takes us nearly an hour before either of us musters up the courage to talk to one another. Then why are you still meeting up then? Either that, or he's just holed up in his room again, watching anime. I met one of his closest buddies, who's informed me that apart from Steins Gate girlfriend, there were many more he got with and then broke up with for petty reasons. I don't know, that's kind of how it was dating in like middle school, high school. You're just starting to figure it out. I'm gonna give him a pass on that too, honestly. Recently, for Halloween, I took a different turn with my cosplay. I was supposed to be Sasha from SNK/AOT, but since I was stupid enough to order both the wig and jacket only a week prior, only the wig came in early and the jacket, well, it didn't. I feel your pain, last minute shopper right here too. I decided to put on the wig and do the makeup and shrug on a warm sweater. Might as well be comfortable while handing out candy to the many children racing up and down the streets. Oh, children, huh? Keep your cousin inside. Someone pulls into the driveway while I'm at the front porch dropping candy into open bags. And then someone hops out of the car and runs towards me clad in full SNK gear. Sees me, and for the first time in a millennia, embraces me. I fall back. I drop the huge, glorious pumpkin bowl of candies. All I could hear was a slew of,
"Oh my lord, you're so kawaii!"
Well, I'm pretty sure parents out on the sidewalk were rushing their kids by due to this scene. Yeah, won't someone please think of the children? I pushed him off, picked up the bowl, which was now nearly empty. One of the little kids, dressed as Elsa, helped me gather the fallen candies back into the bowl, and then asked if her daddy needed to call the police for the strange man who had tackled me. Oh, you pretty perceptive little Elsa, ain't you? I think it's just my cousin, maybe. And OP says as much, tells the kid it's all right, and to make my point, I push Mr. Oh my kawaii desu into the house. He begins making conversation with me, all of which I respond to with uh-huh and while I get more candy from the pantry. He then begins babbling about how
he's so proud of me.
That somehow me cosplaying is my first step into the anime world. My first step into becoming an anime girl.
And how the guys would be all over me.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it? He then says he's already made the transition, that he's an anime boy now too. I begin laughing because it's Halloween night, and me receiving this unexpected visit does make me feel rather high. My cousin's preaching anime, the ways of the anime people, and if only I had potatoes with me, I'd have conked him in the head with the largest one, and placed him in the makeshift graveyard display on the front lawn. Insisting he's an anime boy and stuff like this, you need to get out of my house, son. At this point, my aunt and uncle are coming in through the garage, along with my cousin's sister, who shoots me a sort of apologetic smile. The parents take no notice of their son's interest, though, which is weird considering how many nearly nude anime girl posters he has plastered in his room. While my parents and my relatives greet each other, I return to candy giving, round 2, this time accompanied by my cousin. Each person received a,
don't you think my cousin is so kawaii?
So, if he's already become the anime boy within, how long will it take for me to drag him out of that? I'll be honest with you, OP, I don't think one person is capable of dragging him out of that unless that one person is himself. And he seems to have attached his whole personality to it, so I don't like your odds, honestly. OP said in some comments, no, this isn't in the Philippines, though my whole entire family, as well as myself, are Filipino, which comes into play with how closely linked we all are to each other. When asked who would ever date this guy, she quotes, girls that he interacts with on a regular basis. He's a weeaboo, but he's a damn good-looking one at that, 17 years old. I wanted to break it to him that his actions are just pure shenanigans that might ruin his rep even more since he's older, but with all the arguments we've been having, it's pretty strained. He gets annoying, but at the same time I don't want to lose him, because he is family after all. And don't worry, I've got an exhibit ready for when he's older and out of the weeb stage. Some people don't grow out of it, man. I'd also like to state that, like, just because they're family doesn't mean they need to be there forever. This guy, I mean, he's done one egregious thing, and that was bring up lollies. I don't know if he's doing it ironically or what's going on, but it is sus, to say the least. I don't like that done too much. And there is an update. He got a hold of my sketchbook. Oopadoop. He left approximately an hour or so ago, since his parents have work later on in the evening. Yeah, he was at my house yesterday, and I had to barricade myself in a walk-in closet for seclusion while our parents launched the usual endless hours of talking that they always have. He had to sleep in my room, again. It's the norm. I have a bunk bed, my younger sibling takes the bottom, but my younger sibling had gone to a sleepover thing, so I let my cousin take the bottom bunk, as usual, and just kinda let him do whatever he wanted down there. There's no use in asking him if he'd like to go bowling or walking out somewhere, since he was already on the bed, headphones on, watching the usual, you guessed it, anime. At least he's keeping to himself, I guess. I never minded him being in the room, except for the fact that he would watch anime or something else throughout the night, and he would go to the bathroom periodically, waking me up. Other than that, he never snooped around. As usual, when he came over, we were still at the stage of not speaking to each other until we grew comfortable with one another's presence. I left him alone, he left me alone. Makes me kind of wonder what would have happened if I had the Sasha gear on when he had gotten in. Nothing good. I don't know why we have to have this tenuous armistice between cousins. But anyways, OP excuses herself to the walk-in closet, which has long sort of been my clubhouse that my parents let me customize when I was younger. I got out my laptop and began some homework. I was interrupted halfway through taking notes when I hear a knock on the closet door. I open the door to let this mysterious person in, and two books smack me full force in the face. Wow, okay, that escalated quickly. Now you gotta stand up, throw hands, that's the only way to get through this. One book is smaller, which is my current sketchbook. The larger one is huge. It has a leather cover, and it made my nose gush out blood. My cousin proceeded to throw a box of tissues at me, which also landed on my face. Why? What is this? Where did this come from? At this point, I was pissed. There were blood drops all over my keyboard and splattered on the screen, and he had touched my thing. My sketchbook, of all things. He was angry too, but he waited, steaming impatiently as I washed my face and changed my blood-splattered shirt. I'm the only person he can act immature around. He won't mess with his older sister, nor with my younger siblings, and definitely never to the adults. Once I was done changing, I slammed the closet door shut and plopped down onto a beanbag. You just let him get away with it? There's no retaliation? Where did that even come from? I got a lot of questions. I asked him why the hell, at any time of day, he would throw two very heavy things at my face. He replied with, "Bleh, I was pissed," and then apologized when he realized that I wasn't even one bit amused. Who would be? I asked him why he was upset, and he grabbed the larger of the two sketchbooks and flipped the pages in front of me. It was my sketchbook from like 2 years ago, when I still drew anime heavily while trying to figure out a style of my own. He commented that those anime drawings were great and that they were improving. To be honest, I still look at those drawings only to see extremely botched up anatomy and eyes that look like shiny saucer plates. He began commenting, saying how this and that looked good, and then I told him to just get to the point. Amen. He then places the sketchbook aside and takes the smaller one. I bought it out of Hobby Lobby for the fact that I could doodle with Sharpie on the cover. It was cheap and small enough to fit into most bags. It was only filled with sketches, some that my friends had doodled on and whatnot. He flips through the pages and doesn't say anything. He is not smiling, however. Once he gets to the latest drawing and a blank page, he snaps the sketchbook shut and tosses it to me. I catch it as it lands on my lap. He proceeds to tell me,
I've gotten worse.
Okay, I can take that. Maybe I have, and this would be my wake-up call. I asked him to delve into that a little bit more. If my drawings were so bad, well then, why were they so bad?
It's your style.
What about my style? Did he pinpoint was not to his liking? Well, it was because it wasn't anime. The over-stylized anime artwork of mine with the mangled up anatomy was gone and replaced with a style of my own that I had grown comfortable with. He began ranting how
my previous sketchbook was better and the one I had now is just plain crap.
Wow, this is just really great constructive criticism. Let me pull out a notebook. At this point, I was fuming. He was fuming. And I grabbed the larger sketchbook and smacked him in the chest with it. Thing is, this guy's taller. Way taller and stronger. The hit was nothing more than a mild slap, but we were both pissed and this did not help the matter. He blocks the closet door with his body and tells me
to change my style for the sake of humanity.
Bro, what? That's some delusions of grandeur right there. The sake of humanity has nothing to do with how I draw. I try prying him off the door, but he pushes me, which is just as well because we both fall. I'm the one pinned under, but that just gives me enough time to take a swing. My fist connects with flesh and careens backwards, wheezing. I didn't know what I had hit until I stood up to see both of his hands covering his crotch, body in a near fetal position. I thought I had hit him full on in the gut. Yeah, you missed the bread basket by just a little bit, didn't you? Oh, I got twin stomach aches just reading about it, man. At this point, I was tired of the fight, and all of the motivation in getting my homework done was gone. I left him in that closet to die a painful death. Taking my laptop and sketchbooks with me. It was one of the worst arguments yet, since it had developed into a full-blown fight. Through the whole day, he had stayed, and we reconciled. He said he was sorry, and then just told me to take his words into consideration. Oh, I'm sorry, but do the thing that I said anyway? Apology not accepted. But I don't know, I guess OP's into building bridges and stuff. So later on that night, on the same day that we had a fight, he launched a Skype call with several of his buddies. I was so elated to see that at least one of them wasn't a major weeb. They could see us, we could see them. Well, I was in the background, on my laptop, at my desk. His friends, except one, seeing me, were all surprised that I knew even a little squick of anime. Set the record straight, OP. Tell them all you were into anime before it was cool. The cousin who was once berating me for the way that I drew is now showcasing my presence like I was some overly attractive goddess. It's really weird, man. Why you gotta do stuff like this, man? He didn't have headphones on since it was late in the night and everyone was asleep. The only guy who wasn't like everyone else amongst the call was the buddy of my cousin who told me about all of his girlfriends. He mainly kept silent throughout the duration of the call, like he didn't want to be there. Well, that makes two of us. I just want OP to be like, yeah, screw this, I'm going back in the closet. I went through about 2 hours of flirting and Q&As where I was interrogated on my favorite animes, what I was planning to cosplay, what I had already cosplayed, video games that I like, my sexuality, for God's sake, and then, of course, what conventions I would plan or like to go to. It was just kind of nag after nag, and I found myself just giving out the answers, hoping that eventually they would stop. They're never gonna stop. I'm sorry to tell you this. Nerds, neckbeards, weebs, all just extremely persistent. That's their superpower. My cousin's just having fun and showcasing me as they ask more and more questions. I guess my answers didn't suffice till I climbed the bunk bed and told them all, hey, I'm calling it a night. Except, of course, that it's really hard to sleep when my cousin's laptop is on, volume up, with his friends tittering this and that. Something about how I'm as close to an anime girl as anyone could get. Like I just jumped out of an anime myself and was somehow genetically related to my cousin. Does anybody else smell just a hint of humble brag in that statement? I didn't get to sleep until after the call was done, but their voices bounced inside my head like a repeating tape recording. No sleep that night. This morning, my cousin was packing up all the Figmas he brought along with him, like they were personal teddy bears that he just had to bring when staying over for a night. Oh, come on, OP, just wanted to show him off. The day progressed on, and by lunchtime he was getting ready to leave along with his family. He was much more mellow by then, no signs of any angry outbursts. Before he left, he told me to text him an A-OK if I wanted to join in on his little RP group. Still debating for an answer. Would I regret just joining in for a quick second, just to see and die a little more inside from their shenanigans? Or will this just be potential material for the weeb exhibit that I will show to his future wife? Bro, future wife? You moving a little fast there, ain't you? I'm extra shocked that you just plan to keep forgiving the dude, be there for as long as it takes to get him wifed up and all that. It might be forever, man. This dude, I don't know. You say he's got girlfriends and stuff like that, but those relationships don't seem to last, do they? Girlfriend material different from wifey material. I don't know, man. After getting blasted in the face with a book, I would exit this relationship post-haste. Parading you around in front of his friends and all this? Yuck. Makes my skin crawl. What are you doing? There is one more post, and we will get into that one in this video, but I wanted to say, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Maybe share the video around. I appreciate you. So, rightfully caught. Conclusion to the weeaboo cousin. Thank you to everyone who commented, showing their concerns. I generally didn't think it was so much of a concern until you guys voiced the potential risks if I involved myself with my cousin any longer. Though others seem to steer in the general direction that I'm uncomfortable with my cousin being around, that case is correct, but not always. In my culture, family is family, and in most cases, easily forgiven. But giving me a nosebleed with my own sketchbook? I wasn't planning on telling, mostly due to my nature of forgiving right away. I'm one of those people, yep. And also partly due to fear. There's something to be said for being kind and forgiving, but at a certain point, the kindness turns into weakness. You don't let people walk all over you, right? OP continues. Would I automatically be believed? Around others, my cousin's a total angel, or would this screw things up in my family so much that the only family I have in the US will end up cutting connections with mine? It was a rocky situation, but as others heavily suggested, I started by telling. I didn't want to tell my parents right off the bat. I first told my younger sister, who basically shrugged it off. My brother got all defensive and, despite his younger age, swore his life that he would end my cousin. Bro, little bro's alpha blood? I like it. Now that's true siblings. Being a 6th grader, I assured him it wasn't worth it, though he could help me with a proper exorcism if necessary later on, which seemed to soothe him. As for my other siblings, well, toddlers don't really seem to understand what weebs are exactly, so I don't bother with them. My next step was in ringing up my cousin's older sister. She's 2 years into college and is known to be pretty busy with her studies. All her attention towards her brother dissipated, and she told me that she hasn't been keeping track of him like she used to. My cousin's parents are usually in and out of work, so it's normal for them not to notice, but as I told her what had happened, she yelled for her parents to join the call, and I had to retell everything in a more compact fashion. I told them about my cousin's obsession with anime, that it's okay to like it, but he was maltreating it in such a way that it was hurting others, especially me, both mentally and physically. I forgot to mention that my cousin was also sort of like the person that I talked to when I was in need of help. Since he's older, I forever looked up to him, and ever since he began delving into anime, everything we had just sort of crumpled, and my well-being barely meant anything to him. I mean, that makes perfect sense. How can you care about somebody else if you can't even care about yourself? His parents didn't show their full anger. We were on video call at this point, but they did look really concerned, and I knew that they were serious about this. I was scared for everything that I held dear because as they ended the call, I knew that their next step was calling my parents. So I did the most sensible thing, sat at the bottom of the stairs, and eavesdropped, as kids do. My parents came to know that I was there and called me in, where I had to explain for a third time what it was that had happened. At this point, I was just exasperated, and I just really wanted my normal cousin back. The one who wouldn't be such a butt face, which is what we have to say because we can't say ASS in our household. It's kind of like being on YouTube. I was on video call, as I was explaining, and while reiterating the fact that the point of telling them was not only to rat him out, but to, I don't know, fix him? It seems harsh, but like you guys said, outbursts like what he did are not the norm. That was never in him before. I began crying on screen, which was, pretty swell. I mean, there's nothing wrong with crying, honestly. It's like a little shower for your soul. It lets everybody know how seriously you take this. And yeah, who could blame you at all? You just want your cousin back. I get it. My cousin had been in the far background the entire time, hidden from the camera's view. He popped in looking really ashen. He looked extremely guilty. I should have been happy and dancing with joy for that guilty look, but through all the snot and tears, it just wasn't the time to do so. All that was in my cousin's room was confiscated, along with a bunch of adult magazines that were found, and he got into even more trouble when his parents realized that his grades had been slipping, and money supposed to be used for lunch was being spent on Figma. His parents also took the phone that they were Skyping with and beelined straight for his bedroom, claiming that it was always locked and they hadn't been in there in a millennia. They're really out here just passing the buck like, oh, I don't know, his door was locked, what do you expect me to do? Know what your son is up to, how about? What they found wasn't much of a surprise to me, but it was a shock to them. Apart from the really obscene posters and the plethora of borrowed adult manga, there were drawings of half-naked and completely nude anime girls in suggestive poses, and the room was in an absolute mess. Clothes were everywhere, there was leftover food that obviously should have been tossed into the trash. I couldn't help but just watch as my parents behind me exchanged whispered comments. My cousin's parents got out of the bedroom real quick and returned to where my cousin's sister was restraining him. Restraining him as in practically sitting on his body to keep him from preventing his parents from getting into his room. Yeah, it's like a prison search. As far as OP goes, she admits that she wasn't faring much better, still in the hiccup stage after those sobs. I couldn't speak without hiccuping in that ridiculous fashion that little kids sometimes do. Right then and there, he began breaking down as well. What is this, a movie? Might as well be. And he apologized profusely. Coming from a Filipino background, our parents didn't take this lightly. My cousin's mother had no shame berating him right there in front of the camera, and the video kind of cut off halfway through her yelling. That's when the chancla came out. Nobody recording this. I've been busy with homework ever since then, but just yesterday, he had apologized sincerely. My parents were more concerned towards the friends that he had introduced me to that night, and being my parents, there were going to be talks with those friends of his and whatnot. Being that I'm younger, my parents were strict and decided to make sure that my cousin's friends were not doing anything illegal. As for the room situation, my cousin has been banned to the basement for the remainder of his stays. I remember hearing my parents talking with his parents, mostly arguments and concerns, though they were speaking so fast in Tagalog that it was kind of difficult to understand. My cousin is still allowed over, especially since those tearful apologies. Just remember to lock your door, OP, for God's sake. I can't tell any of you if he's actually changed or not, though obviously I hope that he does. I never would have thought of actually telling anyone in my family that those outbursts were happening if it weren't for you guys. So, that being said, thank you very much. I mean, the cousin's definitely a coon brain creep, but I still feel like there's hope for him somewhere deep down. There wasn't any mention of underage illicit materials within his bedroom, so it's like maybe I'm trying to look on the bright side here, but I don't know. Fingers crossed that everything turned out okay, and that OP was able to create some additional distance. I think we're all old enough. I think we don't have to hang out with our cousins anymore if we don't want to, especially if they're being creepy, alright? Anyways, very interesting story. I'm glad to get the updates, you know? I like these complete packages. I hope you did as well, friends. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Follow me on all the things. And I would like to give a big shout out to my wonderful, beautiful, generous Patreon patrons and YouTube channel members right now. So thank you to Joanna Ross, Fire Drake, Buy Two Get One Hand, JC, Me Jerry, Sue Jerry, Project Duke, just video watching, as we do, Amelt Yahan and Mute, That One Gay Cop, Glitched Out Game and Cellwing 666, Samantha, Origami Steve, Vladimir Dragonov, Sean Cantwell, John Indoors, Train Boy, Shiza, Angel Dark, Bedazzled Misery, Skylar Rain, The Fezwear, Heaven Sent 777, Robert Thibodeau, Grimm's Tribe, Tooth Plushy, Corey Arts, Florentic Waver, Dungeon Bat, Billy D, Robert Waits, Brandon Ashcraft, Phantom Danica, Skylar Morningscar, The Gypsy Barber, and Death's Flag Ship. Heading over to Patreon, we've got Ms. Black, Harley Hohen, Robert Waits, Camille Sarah, John Becker Drake, Fluxer, can I please have that teddy back now? I ate it, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Captain Cloud, Jerry Yemeth, Ellipses, Chef Dan is lame, but no, he's not, though. Origami Steve, Santa Jerry, Silent Revolver, Zathras 28, Jerry, the original Jerry, 211 Jerry, the two Jerrys, Zarfar Barkar, Destiny Piper, Jerry Kasune, and Frankenberry, Assassin Punk Jerry, Bang Bang, Baby Jerry, Billy D, Bitch Gremlin, Blade the Hero, Commander J Tang, Dirty Little Jerry, Dr. Larks, Aranera, Erratic Mechanic, Eastparks 50, Frozen Over Studio, Gizmo Jack, Hadrian BR, Irish Pirate, Iron Hollow, Irradiated Jam, JM Coon, Jerry Smith, Jerry Blacktail, Juicy Lucy, and the Adventures of Daddy Saggy Baggy. It's so gross. Jukebox Jerry, Cuddly Kraken, Lady Italian Greyhound Dino, Lady in Awakening, Lauren Crow, Legitimate Girth, Lord Jerryo, leader of the Thunder Jerrys. Luke Vex was a race car driver, he was a good friend of mine. Like and subscribe, my Lady Dix, Mad Monk, Melgar the Destroyer, Metal Factor, Needless King 89, Fred Up in the Pines, Jerry Kiss and Jerry Beth, Sarita the Lolita, Scarlet, Coven, Sergeant Gate Cop, Bringer of the Law, Silo Imp, Stephanie Goodner, Storm Jerry, Synaptic Boomstick, Taco Mal, Bruin Tamago, the Gypsy Barber, the Little Sue, What you Fusky? This isn't even my final beard. Try and find another mob to get back to the real world. Vanguard, Angel, VC3, Viking Jerry, Vladimir Dragonov, Wiki Tack, Comrade Mooney, Kira, Not Another Jerry, Cage Alex 9, Bad Penny Lane, Carcass, Third Stuff, Venom Jerry, Jace Christensen, One Leg Jerry's Return for Battle, A Normal Jerry, New Year, New Cringe, Feed Me Red, I'm working on it. Emerald Alder, Atomic, Jerry Zilla, Breaker of the Tom Army, Bartender Kelia, Big Dead Wolf, Broken Spine Horseradish, Aguilar, the original different Jerry, that's Cake Jerry, California Jerry Girl, Chikara the Panda, Corey the Commissions Now, Cowabunga Jerry, Cryptides, The Fawn Jerry, Def Tuna, Deku, Dwarfy Dude, Jerry, Boo's daughter, Ghost of Alpha, Greymon 365, Half Slavic Jerry in the tracksuit, Heek Knot, Hydra Jerry Solomon, Janitor Jerry, I can't think of anything funny right now, Jeffy, Gerald of Rivia, Jerry, but with two S's and an E, Jerry Springer, the results are in, you are not the neckbeard. Jerry the Sassy Baka. Jerry's mom has got it going on. Jerry Roxas. Jerry role-playing game. Kitsukin. Machia CD. Maybe next time. Miss Duchess. Mr. Gasmask. Not Invisible Angel. Raptor Art. Snary. That's Snom Jerry. Spoonie the Rogue. Spoopy Scary. Jerry Ton is relevant all year round. They call me Jerry Two Dimes. This is not the greatest cringe in the world. No. This is a refreshing Coors Light. Proud sponsor of ReddX. I feel really thirsty all of a sudden.
This is purely a mercantile transaction.
You're right. It is. To Infinite Jerry and beyond. Tokyo Bird, Trickster, Unkale, Vaughn, throws 2-liter Mountain Dew.
Grow, my neckbeard, grow.
It's Jerry time. Hold ReddX Morpher. Hygiene. It's Jerry time. Holds ReddX Morpher. Humility. And thank you, of course, to my $1 patrons as well. Bless up, you guys really are doing the most to help keep me afloat out here. January, it's a rough month. It's a rough month. If you can help, I appreciate it. If not, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through. Come on back. Do the same thing again tomorrow. And of course, always remember, friends, that you are loved. You are worthy. You definitely deserve it. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.